much time from her. Just a couple of housekeeping items. I'll be monitoring the chat, so if anybody has any questions or any discussions that are going on, we'll certainly bring them up to Kelly as she's presenting, and I know she'll probably take a look at the chat as well. But yeah, so that's the first thing I wanted to mention. The second thing I wanted to mention is that we are recording this talk, so it will be made available in our YouTube channel, and we will send a follow-up email to those of you that are attending or to those that RSVP'd, so that you have access to that YouTube channel and the link to this recording. So with that being said, Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, how's it going? So today's talk is going to be about plans. I'm sure Sam just introduced that to y'all. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we will kind of get rolling. And if you guys have any questions, I can't hear them right now. I don't know if that's going to get fixed at some point, but if you do have any questions, throw them in the chat. Sam's going to monitor that. So Sam, if there are any questions coming in, you know, just let me know somehow and we will answer those. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's share this side. But now we're inceptioning. Hold on. All right. Okay. Oop. All right. Now I lost this. Okay. All right. Do you guys see? I hope you guys can see my screen. So let's get started. I'm actually going to. Sorry, I apologize for all this wildness right now. I think I may have stopped sharing screen. 1 second. Okay, let's grab that back. All right. Round 2. Okay, it should be back. Can you guys see that? Woohoo! All right. Bumpy ride, but we're making it. Okay, so let's get the presentation up. So I'm going to kind of walk us through, we're going to kind of bounce back and forth between the PowerPoint presentation, and then I'll go into Jira so we can actually kind of see live, like how to get to these settings and configurations and what the plans look like and how you can interact with those. So let's jump right in. All right, quick intro to me. Like why, Kelly, why am I here talking to you about plans and portfolios today? So I got my start in my career life. From Ferris State, I got a bachelor's in applied mathematics, so I wanted to go ahead and become an actuary. So I did that for a couple of years, realized it wasn't really for me. So I dove into the world of software development. I was a software developer for about 4 years, doing COBOL things. Shout out to my COBOLers out there if there's anyone. And then I went into project management in 2017, just because that felt like a better fit. And then after that, I became an Atlassian consultant. So I've been a Jira nerd though since 2012. So back in my software development days, I was a Jira user. So I worked bugs and features and tickets out of Jira for a few years there. And then when I went over to another job, we didn't have Jira, and I eventually jumped into that PM role and thought, hey, you know, Jira would be really cool. It might be something that our team could really benefit from to kind of help track tickets and get visibility into things. So I actually worked with a group there to do some vendor selection, and we evaluated several tools and decided Jira was the right fit for us. So we selected that. I worked with a partner to go ahead and implement Jira there, and then became the Jira admin and project manager still. So, you know, wearing multiple hats. It's kind of what life is like. We just always are doing, feels like 12 roles at once sometimes. But yeah, so was the Jira admin PM there for a while. And then I dove into the world of pure Atlassian consulting. So PMing projects, being the dev and implementing them, being the BA and figuring out the requirements that the client needs, and QAing and providing support and UAT facilitation, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, been doing that for a while now. Love it. Love Atlassian as a product. And yeah, that's why I'm here today. I'm a big nerd about it. Relevant creds, you know, I'm an ACP, CSM, ITIL 4 acronyms. Just wanted to throw that in there. And then also, fun fact, I have twins. Those are my girls right there, Elliot and Riley. And I have a garden, so I love gardening. You can see we picked some strawberries that day, and the girls were super excited about it. And also, I felt like I should mention Matt. He's not pictured, but I do have a husband too. So yeah, that's Kelly. Yeah, shout out to the Jira nerds. Yeah, so now let's jump into the content. So what does plans do, and what is it for? First big thing to know, it is for Jira Premium only. So if you guys are running on Jira Standard right now, you probably won't see the plans tab at the top, but I think it is still definitely valuable for y'all to be here and kind of get an idea of what that feature does, just in case you're kind of looking for maybe a tool that does this and you just want to go ahead and bump those Jira Standard licenses up to the Premium license. Just a great idea to kind of, you know, understand what's out there. So the main use case that I've used Jira Advanced Roadmaps or plans for anyways is program and portfolio management. So what we can do is we're pulling multiple projects into one view. So we're not just looking at just my project anymore, and we're not working in silos, like sort of like, I feel like Jira projects can kind of be like multiple conference rooms at a company. And if each project manager has like a bunch of sticky notes in this conference room of what they're doing and all the tasks and everything that they're doing, and everyone's got their own kind of like space, there's not any one spot where we can go be like, all right, where are all those tasks rolling up to? And what's that high level picture? And what am I like, what work are we actually working towards as a company? You might be creating those kind of reports manually right now, you know, filling out status reports for executive leadership, that kind of stuff, but you're not actually like using the tickets and items that you're working on in Jira to show that. So what this gives us is all those tickets and tasks that your team is actively working on, we can roll those up into that status, that higher level view, without having to kind of duplicate work for PMs or anyone else that's just trying to get this kind of view. So we'll dive more into what this all looks like in a bit. Gantt charts today. We get Gantt charts, yay, from plans, and it's great. And if you love a good visual or a good roadmap to say, we're doing this, and this is when we're doing it, and this is what we've done, and this is what we've got coming up next, it is wonderful to see that on a roadmap or on a timeline, especially when you're pulling multiple projects in together. Multiple views for different groups of stakeholders. So what plans does give us is the ability to kind of filter things down and create different ways to look at these tickets for different stakeholders. So as a PM, I probably need to put some status reports together for executive leadership or for my sponsors for the program that I'm running. So I might create a view for them and be like, this is the high level stuff that we're doing. These are the epics that we're working on. We're not going to get further down than that. But I might also just still want to use the same tool when I'm having stand-ups with my team to say, all right, guys, like what like lower level tasks, subtasks are you actually working on? What's the status? How are these going? So you can kind of drill down further to get that view for your team. So you could save both of these views so that when you go into plans, you can just select the one view that you want to look at. So if I hop into my steering committee meeting, I can go ahead and pull up that plan for them. And then if I have a stand up right after with my project team, I can just click their view and hop right into that view. So it makes things really easy for you to kind of shift between the different views that you're working with and presenting. Multiple scenarios. So this is really cool if you are kind of road mapping out, you know, doing some quarterly planning or yearly planning or semi-annual planning as a leadership group. What does that plan look like? You know, what could our roadmap look like? What projects, what might we be able to accomplish in the next 3, 6, 12 months? You can create multiple scenarios and plans. So you could create like a best case scenario. You could create a worst case scenario. You could create like you know, the middle ground scenario, whatever you want to call them, but you can use all of those tickets, your action plans that you have for your projects, and save those different scenarios so that you can quickly toggle back and forth between those, depending on who you're talking to. Just be like, if we get all the work done on time, this is what it's going to look like. If we don't, this is what it's going to look like. And you can kind of select which view you want to actually save. So when you're changing tickets in plans, it's not saving it. You do have to click a save button, which I will show you guys too in a little bit. So yeah, and also if I'm going a little fast, feel free to stop me. I do have the chat up, so if you guys say something, I'll see it. And if you have any questions, definitely interrupt me. And then last thing that I just wanted to mention at a high level that we can do, of course, is embedding our roadmap into Confluence pages, which is great if you have a beautiful status report or steering committee or executive summary page in your Confluence space that you share out, you know, on a weekly, monthly basis. You can embed this roadmap right into that. So it's always getting that view in your status report, which is really sweet. So yeah, let's jump on to the next slide. All right, how to interact with the plan. So we can choose what fields we want to see. We can filter, we can save custom views, all this kind of stuff that we just talked about. So I'm gonna move this over here. And then let's actually kind of look at that. So first of all, you can see that we are in Jira. Let me zoom in a little bit. I don't know if this is kind of small for you guys. There we go. All right, so we're in Jira. I have gone to plans at the top and I have selected my plan. Just for example's sake, I chose from a past life, a personal auto program that I kind of used to work on some projects for, and I've built out a couple projects that are in this program. So I went to plans, selected this, and then we've got 3 projects here that we've been working on. So yeah, so I just want to show you first how to kind of interact with this, and then we'll go over like how to build this plan as a whole. So we've got a vehicle monitoring project. We've got a couple of rate changes. One's in July, one's January. These are the fields that are on these tickets. So the way that this is built and structured out is I have a project set up called Vehicle Monitoring, VM. You can kind of see that project key here. And I've set the initiative as the highest level in the hierarchy. So I don't know who all knows this or if you guys have played with this or not, but you can create an issue type and then put that issue type above Epic in the hierarchy. So that's kind of how we're going to be able to get this higher level view. And then we can also, so this is the ticket type is initiative. We can add fields to this. So if we create initiatives that kind of represent bigger pieces of work than epics that we're working on, they're almost like projects. We can then add fields to this that indicate, you know, project health, where it's at, who's the PM on the project, what's the start date of the project, the due date, the status of the project overall. Any fields that you would want to track on a project, you can use that for. So yeah, so I've got that set up here. And then let's just say maybe we did want to pull in a couple other fields. I know that, for example, on this ticket, we've got budget spent, budget remaining, project health, but I'm not seeing those here on our roadmap. So I'm going to want to pull those fields in. Yeah, I can show the hierarchy setting for sure. We'll sidebar. I think it makes sense to do that right now. And I do have a slide. So where to get that hierarchy for issue types. So first in the site, I did create an issue type called initiative. And then if you go to settings, if you have to be a Jira admin to be able to do this, go to the little cogwheel up at the upper right, and then go to issue. And then in issue type hierarchy here is where you can kind of click create level. It's going to let you select the issue type, and then you just save your changes. So I did that with the initiative, and I put it, you can drag and drop it, and I put it above Epic. So that's where we're getting that hierarchy from. And then also when you're in your plan, if you go to filters, this is the hierarchy that your plan's showing. So maybe I don't want to see initiatives for some reason in here, and I'm just like, just show me epics to subtask. We could do that instead, and you can see we've lost that bucketing there. It doesn't really make much sense for this use case, but like you could definitely change the hierarchy that you're looking at if you wanted to. So we'll throw initiative back up there. All right. Does that kind of answer your question, Stephanie? Hopefully. Cool. All right. So we've got that hierarchy built in there. Just a quick, let me show you what we're looking at. This up here is the name of the plan. So I've named this plan Personal Auto Program. Every plan that you create is going to kind of look in the same format. I did create a couple of scenarios on this plan, so that's why we're seeing this kind of drop down here, and this is called initial scenario. So I'll show you in a little bit how to create those separate scenarios. So we're looking at our initial scenario. We've got some other configurations here that we can go into, but today we're really just going to be kind of focusing on this timeline right here. And then we've also got plan settings, which I will show you the behind the scenes on that and kind of point out the more important config items that you'll probably be changing more often, or you'll at least need to configure once. So let's and then this area here, this is the meat of it. This is our timeline that we're looking at right now. So we have our issues in a list right here. These are the fields that we have currently selected, but we can add some more fields. So you can add any field that's on the ticket to this. And then you've got your Gantt chart timeline-y thing over here. This is one way to view the plan. You can also, if you're like, I don't care about those dates, I don't want to see this. I just need to see as many fields as I can see on this because I want to run through and update all my tickets. You can switch it over to the list view right here. So if I click on this, it gets rid of that timeline. It's showing me a couple more fields just because I have selected a few more fields to look at in this view. So it's saving it too. So as we're, putting some more fields on here, we just go ahead and add some things. That is saving this view, and you can kind of see how that's kind of building out. We jump back to timeline. That's the fields that we had selected on the timeline view. So these are saving for you. All right. So let's see. I think Stephanie. Oh, okay. All right. So adding fields. Let's just go ahead and I need to know the project sponsor on these tickets too. So if I start searching for project sponsor, I'm not seeing that field. The reason being is that it's a custom field. I created it. I did put it on the initiative ticket type, but I can't select it here yet until you actually add it to the plan. So it's just kind of weird. You do have to add custom fields to your plan if you want to be able to select them on this view. So in order to do that, you go down here to manage custom fields. You can see I've already added project health, but we want to add a couple more. So let's go ahead and click add custom field there. And then let's pull in project sponsor. Let's get that health justification too. Let's grab a few budget fields. Let's just build this out. Let's make it pretty. All right. So now we've got some more fields to choose from. So let's go back to our plan. And then go to fields, and then let's put in that project health justification. Let's add sponsor too. And if we wanted to, we could also add budget fields. One thing I want to note on this, and I'm kind of just showing you guys a bunch of things that I've done in the past just to kind of get the gears turning on things that you could do. These budget fields, you could create automations for, which would be pretty sweet. So if you have a project budget of 50 grand and you've already spent 20 grand, you could create an automation to calculate that remaining field, and then that would populate by itself. So that's always super fun. I'm always, trying to look for ways to automate things and make my life a little easier. But yep, so we've got these fields on here. You can also kind of just quickly collapse them by clicking on the title if you kind of just wanted to get rid of them, but wanted to be able to pull them back up quicker. So yeah. That's how you can edit this view a little bit with the fields. And now you can also filter. So we've got, these are our project action plans. So these are 3 projects. These are the epics within them. And then you'd also likely be breaking down what each of these epics mean. I didn't do it for all of these, but just for example, if we had a testing epic on a larger project, we might need to write the test cases, write the test plan, test it, UAT it, all that kind of jazz. So we're kind of getting our full action plan, if you will, here. It's a little bit Excel-y, but it's in Jira. So that's why I love it. So anyways, yep, so we can roll this back up to clean it up a little bit. And then if we wanted to filter, maybe I'm a PM, I'm Alana, and this is the full personal auto program, but I'm coming in here to put my project updates in, and I don't want to see Max's projects as well. So I can go ahead and filter this down to things that are just assigned to me if I was Alana. And then that's going to kind of clean this up for me. So now I'm only seeing the things that I care about. And obviously you can filter on like any field that is on the tickets. So once you do get it set up to the way that you want to see it, you can save that as a view. So if I'm Lana and I'm running this project, and for my stand-ups, I just want to be able to bring this up and meet with my team and see how everything's going. We can go ahead and click on this views right here, and then click on create a new view. We can title this, let's call it VM stand-ups. Save it. And now we've got that as a view. So we can be here, or we can go back to that basic view if we wanted, which is where we were seeing everything. Then similarly, if you had something that you want to filter down to, or you only want to show certain fields to leadership or something like that, you could create a leadership view. All right, one question from Keon. As opposed to seeing it on an epic or initiative focus view, can you instead see a timeline from an assignee or a team planner view? Maybe, so there is a teams function here. I haven't really played around with it that much, Keon. What I usually use for what you're asking for is Tempo Planner, to kind of plan out, you know, where my folks are working, what projects they're on. So that's just what I've used in the past, but I know there's a team functionality here. I just haven't personally played around with it a ton, but this is a community event and we're trying to kind of share knowledge. Has anybody on the call played around with this team's functionality here? And do you have anything, any ideas? Oh, Elizabeth has. Oh, you guys can't talk though. Shoot. Unless Tyler, can we like unmute Elizabeth for a sec to let her share her story? Tyler or Sam? Okay. Well, Elizabeth, maybe I'll connect with you later. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Oh, Elizabeth, you're here. I think you can talk now.
All right. Hi. Thanks so much. So yeah, I actually use the Teams function currently for all of my road mapping. And in my case, we have 47 different pods. And so each product pod is represented as a team. And I have set it up so that the teams can set it up and manage it themselves. So they list, you know, the number of team members and then associate it to their sprints. And it allows them to do capacity planning using the tool. Yeah, it's great. Definitely recommend it. Is there anything else specific that I could help answer or any questions? If not, just to say, check it out. It's pretty intuitive and user-friendly, so good stuff. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth. I'll watch the recording later to hear what you said because I still can't hear. All right. So I hope that helped everyone. I'm definitely looking forward to learning a little bit more on that too. All right. So we will keep going around in this timeline view. So yeah. All right. We've got dates on here. I want to show you guys how this functionality is working. So you might kind of see that we've got dates all set, but this one's got this funky little arrow thing. And what does that mean? This just means that this is rolling up to this date. So I haven't put a date in this field in Jira. it's just picking the furthest date out on this. So it is rolling it up to say, hey, the last date on these tasks that you have set is October 10th. So we're going to roll that up here. So that is actually kind of helping build my timeline for me. So instead of having to kind of always adjust these dates, you could just let them roll up. So if I close this one out too, then it's just going to select that earliest date for me. So it's kind of nice, you know, one less thing to maintain as you are kind of shifting out everything here. So if we push this out a couple weeks, that's just going to change that due date for us automatically. And it's just one less thing to maintain. So yep, so we've got dates. And then also you can see that this is like kind of shaded or a striped view. That is just showing us that it is rolled up. So if we had hard selected these dates, it's gonna change into a solid bar. So that's the different looks for those dates. And then if we wanted to, you can see that this is yellow. The reason that this bar is yellow is because I have the Gantt chart colored to match the project health. So if we also had dates in here for this July rate change, all of these would be red or orangey red. But yeah, another thing too that's super cool is you can just click right in here to add dates to your ticket. So you can kind of just click, drag, and drop to create your project timeline. So it's a lot quicker than actually like selecting the dates on the fields. So I really like to use it for that. And then also, if you did have, let's see, some like dates on here, and you said, you know what, we need to shift this whole epic. If you drag it, it is going to drag those child tasks with it. So it is, again, one less thing to maintain on those lower level child tickets. So just some cool ways that you can interact with the roadmap here and build out your timeline for your projects or for your program as a whole. All right, and then if you want to change the coloring, we can dive into view settings. Right now I have it set color by project health, and I've said if it's red, make it this color, green, yellow, etc. We could do that with a lot of different fields here. Another popular one is just the status. So just color the tickets by status. So if things are blue, that's going to be in progress, green's done, and gray is backlog or a to-do status from your workflow. So, yeah. Any questions? Is it possible to show or highlight the due date in the timeline? It's here, and then we can kind of see the due dates, you know, on the end of the bars there. Yeah, I guess I don't know how to further highlight like this column here. Yes, sorry, Ramalingam. Hope that is a little bit helpful. Yeah, dependencies. So if you did want to kind of tie tickets together, you could just drag and drop this. Boop. So that's going to create a little link between these. You can click on it to see the dependency details. So you can see this epic is blocking this one, and that's fine and dandy right there. But if we did have it back here, then that's going to be more of a problem. And you can see this lead time is highlighted, -7 days. So that's just saying that, hey, like there is a problem here with the amount of lead time, because this task, you know, these are not running into each other as they should. So we'd want to instead kind of make sure that these dependencies are running correctly. All right, let's bounce back over to the prezo. Wherever it went. Oh, there it is. All right. So we've kind of gone over the custom fields. Oops. We've gone over the automations and, you know, just things that you might be able to do. For example, budget field calcs, filter. We talked about the hierarchy that's there. We did talk about custom views and how to save those. So when you're meeting with different groups of stakeholders, you can kind of show different views of the work that you have working on. Timeline view versus list view, we did go over that. View settings, we talked about a little bit, but I do want to show you guys a couple of other settings in there. So we already talked about coloring by. You can also group, you can sort by as well. Group by is another one that I like to kind of toggle back and forth between. So right now we're not grouping by anything. We're just kind of letting this natural hierarchy flow. If we change this instead to like group by project, for example, then we can see we've got these 2 projects that we're running. But this project actually has 2 initiatives under it. So because I know that personal auto rate changes, we're going to do one of these every 6 months. Instead of creating a new project in Jira for this all of the time, we're just going to create the one project, and then we will create an initiative for each of those initiatives to do that body of work. And then we can kind of build out our epics and our tasks and our subtasks from there. So if we wanted to use this as like a grouping or another way to kind of roll things up, that's just another cool way to toggle back and forth between some views here. So yeah, so that's, oops, another view setting that I like to use. This is the views, Christina, this is the view setting for group by. So I just switched to grouping it by the project instead of, it was none before. Stephanie, do you mean the source, like where are all these tickets coming from? Yeah. Jira Premium, first of all, and then, so we've got plans here. The way that we create a plan, let's go ahead and click into this. So you click create plan from plans at the top. Then you can give your plan a name. So if we wanted to also create another plan for commercial auto, our commercial auto program, again, running with the insurance company theme, we could do that here. You can set the access to either private if you didn't really want anyone to see it right now, or open, in which you could still change later. So that's why it's letting you know you can still restrict this access later. And then this is where you add the work to your plan. So you can choose from a board, you can choose from a project or a filter. So what I did for this example, I was pulling in a couple of different projects here. So I selected this one. Then if you want to add another one, just keep clicking that add more work button. So this is kind of where we're adding all of those different projects. If we had more, we could continue adding those. And then we'll just click create. Obviously, this will have the same data in it. But that's just how you would create this. And then if you're like, hold up, hey, we've got another project that we're running, obviously that's going to happen. You can pull in more issues to your plan by going, sorry, I did that fast. Go into plan settings. And then if we come to issue sources right here, this is showing us basically the same thing that we just saw. So we see we're pulling in these 2 projects, and here we can go ahead and add some more. So this is where we'd update that. So this, you might need to do this every month or 2, or however often new projects get added to your plate or your program. Some other things to point out back here that I did want to tell you guys about. Let's just actually run through all of this. So this is in plan settings. These are some things that you can configure. So right now, issues are being estimated in days. You could change that to be hours or story points, just depending on how your team runs. The date fields that we see on the Gantt chart part of the timeline are these fields right here. So these are tying to start date and due date. I could instead use different dates on my tickets if I wanted to. For example, like, maybe if you're building out your plan for the first time, you just want to use target start and target end. You could use those. So this is where you can kind of change those date fields that you're using. And then as you are drawing on that timeline, like clicking, dragging, and dropping to build out your roadmap, it is actually filling in those date fields. So if it was set to target, then those dates that you're choosing would go into the target date field. Another thing I wanted to show you guys again was issue sources. We went over that, but you can also do some exclusion rules. So if you're like, hey, I don't want to see any bugs in my plan, I don't want to see those. You could choose that as an issue type to exclude. You could exclude specific statuses if you wanted to. So you can kind of tailor what you're seeing in your plan before you even get to that filter step. So we do have the filter in the plan, but we can clean it up a little bit on the back end back here. And then also, if you want things to stop showing on your plan, you want them to drop off, you can set this to be however many days you want. You know, if something's been marked done for 30 days, I don't want to see it on my plan anymore. So this is where you could configure that. All right. On this note, I do have a couple of other things I did want to show you guys on this. Oh, and then custom fields too. So we got here a different way first. We went to the fields and then we clicked manage custom fields. You can also manage them by just going to the plan settings and then clicking on custom fields. And we're not seeing those fields that we added here because we are on a different plan. If we actually switch over back to our personal auto plan and look at these plan settings in custom fields, we'd again just see all those ones that we added there. One thing to note too, you might be thinking like, hey, it'd be really cool to have like, I don't know, my status update or my weekly update field on my plan. Right now, paragraph fields aren't supported on plans, so you couldn't have like that big of a field out there. But it'd be really cool if maybe one day that was a feature that got released. So yeah, just one thing to think about. There are certain types of custom fields that you can't add. And it'll tell you too. It'll say if it's unsupported or not. So, boop. All right. Cool. So let me pull the prezo back up. All right. So we went through view settings now, and then one last thing I really need to mention and want to mention to you guys is don't forget to save. Or do forget if maybe you're like, hey, I'm just playing with these options and I don't know yet that I want to save it. So you can see here that I have made some changes. Let's just ungroup this by project. We've made some changes to some tickets. This is highlighted in blue up here. Review changes 13. So I made 13 different changes to these tickets. This gives you an opportunity to go through and see, what did I change first of all, or did somebody else make the change? And then what changed? So I can kind of review, you know, the date changed, the status changed, and just kind of take a peek at these and say if I want to save them or not to my roadmap. So I think these all look good. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes. And then you'll see that this Review Changes button will then switch. Now it's grayed out because there aren't any changes, but then if I go ahead and just change something else, we're going to have one change now that needs to get saved. So that's a quick way to tell, you know, if we have any unsaved changes here. And what this means is you'll only see these changes in this view. So if my team members are looking at their ticket anywhere else in Jira, if they're on their board or if they're in their project, wherever they may be, they won't see those changes until they are saved here. So one thing to note on that. Speaking of changes, let's talk about scenarios. So this is my initial scenario. Maybe this is the one that I first created. But, you know, we've got some other things in flight and we wanted to create another way to look at this and maybe like a best case scenario. So this is just how you switch back and forth between those scenarios. But in order to turn that feature on, you have to come to plan settings and then go to scenarios down here. And then let's disable this real quick. Boop. You have to click enable scenarios. So you click that, and then it's going to ask you to save the scenario that you're currently looking at, which was this one. So we'll click that. And then you can kind of create scenarios based on this. So it's just going to be, if you wanted to create multiple copies first, like I want to see this 3 ways. You could go ahead and create multiple copies. Let's call this one worst case scenario. And let's make this one red. Create that. Let's change the color of best case to green because green is good. And then if we go back to the plan, then you'll see we've got these 2 scenarios and we can toggle back and forth between these 2. And you can make changes to this one. You can make changes to this one, and they're not going to go back and forth between them. So if we say best case scenario, we're getting this project done at the end of August, for example. That's here only. And if we go over here to worst case scenario, you're going to see this is still going out to October. So that's just another tool that you guys have at your disposal to build out those different timelines and, you know, get sign off on whichever one you want to go forward with. Is it only you that sees the unsaved changes here? Good question. Anyone that comes to this plan would see the unsaved changes. So if Tyler hopped in here or Sam or anybody hopped in here, they would see what I'm seeing. So they would see the review changes at 10 up there. They would pull this up and they'd say, oh, wow, Kelly's changed all of these things here. You know, she's clearly working in this, but they could also make their own changes. And then when you go to review changes, you can save only the changes that you've made. It actually defaults to that. So if other people were in here making changes, it wouldn't be selected. It'd be like unselected. And then I could click save. So it'd save only the changes that I made. You've also got the filter up here if you wanted to click back to issues changed by me. That again just selects the changes that you've made. Yep, this is premium only. Joseph just asked that question. All right, let's go ahead and cancel. All right. Okie dokes. So we talked about saving. We talked about the views. Who can create a plan is anybody. So we did kind of just go over how to create those plans. Plan permissions, though, are managed from the plans dropdown in settings. So it really is up to your Jira admin who they're giving the ability to create plans. So if you can create them now, then you must have that permission. And if you can't and you want to, you know, maybe that's worth a conversation with whoever is administering your Jira. All right, how can I get started? So we already kind of went through some of this. Just a refresher, we first want to make sure that the foundation is in place. So if you do want to kind of group things up from a higher level from Epic into initiatives, you want to make sure you have that issue type set. That issue type is in your projects. You've got the fields on that issue type that you want, and you've updated the issue type hierarchy here to have that initiative at the highest level. Then again, we'd go to plans, create a plan, choose your issue sources, click create. The first time that you guys do this, it is going to take you through a little tutorial. So I would definitely recommend don't just like quickly click through to get to the end. Kind of just take a little bit of time and let yourself step through that tutorial just to kind of get a little bit refresher on what we just talked about today. It's just going to point out those main features so that you kind of understand, again, how to build out that plan and use it. We went through settings already, so we kind of talked about the scheduling, issue sources, exclusions, rules, and custom fields. And I'm going to pull the chat back over just in case. Is there a way to show a scenario when, if we add additional resources, we can complete initiative at X state? Yeah. Yep. So you could create that scenario if you wanted to really drive home that point to your leadership to be like, hey, if you gave me 4 more people, then I could cut these tasks down by this much. And then you could show that timeline. So that's exactly what you'd want to use those scenarios for, just building out different views based on, you know, resources or timeline or however you're shifting around your dates. Yep. All right, let's not forget Confluence. So we want to be able to embed our roadmap into a Confluence page, which we can do. It's really pretty simple. So this is just a little screenshot I took, and I will show you guys how to do this in a second here. This is a personal auto space that I built out in Confluence. I just created a quick page. I called it our program roadmap, and I popped that roadmap right into there. So let me step you through how to do that. All right, so we are here. Let's put our worst case scenario onto a page. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on share. And then you've got a few options. You can grab an image of this if you wanted, CSV, whatever you might want to do. But what we want to do right now is grab the link for Confluence. So click on Confluence, click on copy. And now we've got that copied. So let's go over to our Confluence space. We've got our pretty program roadmap here. Let's just create another page and let's just call it our worst case scenario roadmap. All right, and then it literally is as simple as pasting that link into there. So I just click Control V. And here we go. So now we can see exactly what we just saw, but it is in Confluence. Go ahead and publish that. So yeah, it's really nice. I love it when Jira and Confluence work together in a way that's helpful. All right. Okay, so next steps. I know we've got just about 10 minutes left here, so we're doing pretty good. Talk to your Jira administrator to see if creating plan could be right for you. So I hope you guys found something here helpful. You know, if you think, hey, we could use this and we're not, you know, maybe you want to go ahead and create a plan. And if you can't, just, you know, ask your Jira admin if they could help you step through it. And the side effect is a happy stakeholder. All right, story time. I did want to let you guys share too. You know, how have you used plans before? What are your different use cases? I know everyone's worked a different job and lived a different life, and we've all got different ways that we're using the tools out here. So I definitely want to make sure to give at least a couple of people a few minutes here to share how they've used this. So does anyone have a use case that they'd like to share? Oh, yep, Joseph, we'll get the recording out after the call. Or has this sparked any ideas? Is anyone like, oh my gosh, you know, X, Y, and Z could be super helpful. And I'm gonna go implement it tomorrow because I'm so pumped, or right after lunch. Oh, Ruslan, did you wanna share? Sam or Tyler, could you take Ruslan off mute?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hop, hop. Test. No? Guys, am I muted? Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, we usually I have used that in my previous companies, mostly not for project planning, but for visualizing the roadmap, the backlogs, and basically backlogs of the product teams. That means that not starting from creating a view how we would love to move, but vice versa, from what we have in our plans, to just see that on a timeline how that would work actually. Like if we start from taking our statistics and our velocity, our throughput, from the people we have from different teams, also like trying to put all of that together from a view of multiple teams, and switching for these advanced roadmaps a bit changed the game, because previously it was pretty easy. But now you have to think a bit around things around, but it's still more or less the same about setting up your teams, as Kelly was here was a little discussion before the teams functionality. You basically set up your velocity, and also, but there are some additional statistics that you have to know. What is your epic sizes, or what are your average story points, etc. And using that kind of approach, you can just take your prioritized backlog and try to put that on the roadmap, just to see if statistically it really comes out in the way that you would love to. That means that basically you can try to figure out if your scenario, what you see, is in accordance with your velocity and your plan in the backlog. Yeah, that is more or less how I use that. It worked for me. So if any questions or anything, you could make
Awesome.
There are some
Thanks
questions.
for sharing.
Yeah, but I guess if you have any questions here, you can contact me via LinkedIn.
Anyone else wanna? Oh. Sorry, guys. Still can't hear, so I'm taking cues from Sam on when to jump in. Oh, Joseph, did you want to share a story? Cool.
Oh, hello. I'm Joseph, and actually, I've been using Jira for the past three months or so. So I recently actually participated in a hackathon, and my project was on smart meeting scheduler, and I completed it. It was a hack the loop hackathon, and this is how Jira made our project a success. Number one, planning was easy. Jira helped me break down the project into manageable tasks, creating a clear roadmap from start to the end. And this actually made it easy to see what needed to be done and when. And number two, staying organized with the Jira Kanban board. I could easily visualize, track, and keep my progress by moving the task through the stages like how we do it in progress and in done. This actually, it kept us much more focused and on track. Another thing, and this was the most important one, handling issues efficiently. One of the troubles that we developers get into, especially when you're working in a team, conflicts while pushing to GitHub. And Jira actually helped us as whenever we encountered bugs, Jira's issue tracking system, it allowed us to log and prioritize them quickly. And this actually ensured that all the issues were addressed promptly and keeping the project on course. And actually we could keep tab on who's doing what at what time and what have you done and what's the progress and what should we expect from you. Yeah. And also time management. The Jira time tracking features were fabulous. The features, it helped me manage my time efficiently because I usually find myself either working below my time or past the deadline. But this time, the Jira time tracking features, it helped me manage my time efficiently, showing me where I was spending most of my hours and helping me to stay productive. Yeah, thanks. That was my story.
Awesome. Thanks, Joseph. Cool. All right. We've only got 2 minutes left. Does anyone have an awesome tidbit they want to share? That's 2 minutes. Or we can wrap and I can share my awesome random tip. Or if you guys have already read it, then cool. Cool. So yeah, one random tip that I really love. Windows or plus semicolon or Windows period, really anywhere you're typing, anywhere like emails, anything, that's going to pull up like the emoji thing. So you can add an emoji to text, and I like to throw it into field options sometimes. So for example, like this project health field, I put a yellow heart in or a red breaking heart in for when a project is gone red. But yeah, you can kind of throw in emojis there anywhere within Jira just to kind of jazz things up a little bit and make it more fun. So yeah, that is all that I have to share today. Thank you guys so much for joining this talk. We will get the recording. Once it's all wrapped up, we'll get it out to everyone that's registered. And again, just thank you all so much. Thank you for sharing your stories and for your time today. Thanks, everyone. We'll see ya.